So, so then the question is, what will the companies do? And it's a little bit unclear. Back in October, I think the CEO of YouTube even said that that at least in Europe, she might have to allow only known companies to post YouTube videos anymore. That amateur, so-called amateur users or people that work by themselves, like I do, would no longer be able to post on YouTube, and might not be. That might extend even to blogs. For example, on Blogger, that at least in Europe they would be blocked, and that only established companies would be able to publish. She seems to have backed away from taking that position, but another possibility would be the content that originated outside of Europe that did not go through the filters before being published, or that wasn't reviewed before being published, would be blocked from being viewed in Europe. Of course, you might be able to get around that with VPNs and so forth. But that it might be that Europeans simply won't have access to a lot of content from the rest of the world. We don't know exactly what they're going to do yet. But essentially, when you make a platform the publisher, and then in theory the platform is going to have to review everything before it's published, which means self-publishing as we know it probably eventually goes away if you really stick to that idea. That would even go for text, and that would go for blog posts, for example, and not just for videos and pictures. Only established media that were actual companies that were somehow had business licenses and would be able to continue publishing. That would be the risk. Or if they came from outside the EU, they would have to be blocked if they hadn't been approved. That's what it sounds like may happen. Now, there might be so much pushback when the Europeans find out that this is what happens, and it might happen in France as early as this summer. There might be so much pushback that things will change. We just don't know what's going to happen yet. But the politicians in Europe, we could say they don't realize what the unintended consequences are, and there certainly will be serious consequences for startups and everything in Europe. But what they seem to be doing is protecting their legacy companies, publishing companies, not so much from piracy, but from competition from people like me. Although I don't live in Europe, I'm in the U.S. They seem to be protecting their publishers from competition from people who have no overhead, so that people stay employed and have union benefits and so forth and regular salaries. This seems to be more about protectionism, because of the